Okay, so people, today we have The Silent Planet. This is the new film from Jeffrey St. Jules, who wrote and directed. We have production from Andrew Bronfman and Mark O'Neill. It's executive produced by Alan Unger, Jeff Sackman, Barry Merowitz, John Lang, Jason Ross Jalat, and Mark Gingras. Paul Sarusi took care of cinematography. Andrew Berry is production design. Jax Fortier is art direction. Holly Nash, set decoration. Costume design is Quata Alfred. We've got hair makeup from Sarah Gerbig, Sky Tustowork, and Caroline Williams. A lot of the graphic design elements are Sam Huck. Visual effects, Justin Bunt. Our cast, right? Theodore is played by Elias Koteas. Niyya is played by Briana Middleton. Alana is played by Bridget Wareham. A young Theodore is played by Justin Nurse. There is someone else that doesn't seem to be. Yeah, I don't know. We don't get Jamie. Not sure who voices Jamie, I'm afraid, people. But, but our film, very interesting. And it follows two inmates in the near future who are sentenced to a lifetime of hard labor on a distant planet. As things unravel, they become increasingly paranoid and start to lose a sense of who they are and their past lives. I mean, this is fascinating, right? It's sci-fi, but very different from astronauts, right? I mean, that was a short, a proof of concept for a TV show. This is a film. This is a feature. It's about 90 minutes, 95 minutes. And it is so interesting because although it's a sci-fi film, sci-fi isn't really the driving force here. It's more of this exploration of oneself, right? Of loneliness, of, dealing with your past, evolving, right? Acceptance. There is so many different things here, right? Family. It's so intriguing. So intriguing. I really enjoyed this one. Like we start off with a scene and we have Naya and another girl, right? You envision it, you in fact imagine that it's her girlfriend and they're, having a nice little time, a picnic. And then all of a sudden, this thing happens. And from there, now we're on this planet and we're following this guy around who we learn is Theodore. And it's interesting because we have these two kind of stories. And at first you're wondering, wait, how is that connected? We get a flashback to Nyaya's youth. And we're like, how does all of this fit together? But what then unfolds? Boy, like there's so many things that come to mind, right? Because we're dealing with this alien race, and the alien is interesting. Alien is interesting, but we don't get a whole heap of information on the alien. But that's fine because you don't necessarily need a lot of information here, right? This is this themic kind of thing dealing with this attachment, right? Niyya's attachment to these aliens, right? And which has then, you know, birthed her outlook on humanity. So it's intriguing in that regard. And how does that relate to Theodore? You know, the way those stories interact, right? Two people on a planet. What do? Right? How do they interact? And so we're seeing this, but it's how you get to that planet, right? Your reasons, which really plays into this. Like, maybe someone wants to be alone. They like to be alone, right? So what happens next? It's it is a fascinating character um exploration. That's what really this is. And it is done very well, just looking at things and are they delusion? Is it fact? Is this real? Right? That's a big one. Is this real? You know? Or are we just in this fantasy? That's the thing. It's like, what do you do if you have certain information? How do you move forward? And there's so much here. And I think the other crazy, thing is this whole notion of sci-fi, right? In some places it's big, like heavy on effects, but this is kind of lo-fi, right? And what we do have, it's it's this interesting thing, like, because we don't know how far in the future we are, but there are things that we see, like this rock situation, and then the habitats, right? How they get to the planet, right? This whole thing, I think, is very interesting. Very interesting. We see an alien language, which is always so fascinating. You know, it's like when you think about alien languages and you see, sometimes it's just a few words and then it's just like, let's just put it through the translator, you know? But when you actually see a language, like, Denis Villeneuve's Arrival always jumps to mind because the way they conveyed the language was, using maths. So it felt very different. This one, it's this kind of vocal exploration. Like, something that jumped to mind was the throat, um, the throat, oh God, what is it? The throat singing, not the throat singing, but the from June, right? Like that. But it's not really the same, but that's the thing that kind of springs to mind. It is an interesting, like, frequency navigation, it would seem. So, man, that whole thing. But we also see it written as well, which is something you don't always get, right? You might get the vocalized, but not always the written. So, you know, Jeffrey has really thought of all these different details, which I mean, it's a tremendous thing. We really get this, but it's the look of the planet, right? It is this kind of bleak, barren scape, which then kind of plays into, I feel, this thought of loneliness, right? How we navigate that. It can be this barren wilderness, until you kind of, I guess, change your mindset, right? But do you want to change your mindset, right? We get this other thing that might be a manifestation of grief, right? That you're haunted by grief. I don't know, right? I feel there's so much that you could just interpret. And so it's, what do you perceive this to be? Right? So the way you ingest this film plays on your interpretation of something, your interpretation of grief, of loneliness, of togetherness, right? Of acceptance, redemption, just all of these different things. And that, oh my gosh, that's a fascinating concept, right? That everyone leaving the screening could have a different take, right? That they find a different nugget in this. We have tremendous performances from Briana and Elias. They really do this fantastic job of selling these characters to us, relaying this emotional treadmill that they find themselves on. I really, really like it. It's not high explosions and actions every second, but it's this character driven piece that just has you thinking, right? Has you, contemplating with yourself, right? Hmm, how would I navigate this? Right? What do I view this as? I think that's the big thing. Like, those are the questions that you are possibly asking yourself. And what else is in this world? You know, what else could be there? Right? It seems like we have this very rich tapestry, you know, and then you have the alien component of the film as well, right? Which, again, when you think about today's society, there's so many themes here that, you know, feel like we're viewing in the film, right? Accepting of other people, accepting of ourselves. Like, what would we really do when push comes to shove? Right? There's so many things, people. I'm telling you, this is so worth watching. And if you weren't able to make the premiere, because it's having its world premiere at Fantasia. So if you weren't at the Salle Jeux Dessous on the 24th at 9:30 p.m., don't worry. Don't worry, because at midday, 12 noon on Friday, the 26th of July, same venue, Salle Jeux Dessous, there is another screening of The Silent Planet. It has the short film The Door as its lead in, you know. Um, so yeah, people, look, if you're in Montreal, fit this one into your schedule. Most definitely fit this one into your schedule because it's fascinating. It really is a fascinating film. And if you like that character driven um material, right, you will definitely enjoy this. I think, oh my god, it last year, I think it was at this festival last year, right? I spoke to Adam. Oh my days, I cannot remember Adam's surname, but he had that film about the people at the motel and the possible aliens and like now I know that film has changed its name since we had the conversation. But yeah, I mean, if you enjoyed that, I think you would enjoy this. Now, maybe that's not overly helpful because the name of the freaking film has, passed me by, as it were. Um, but yeah, no, definitely worthwhile. Uh, yeah, let's see if we can find this one, shall we? Okay, actually, it wasn't Fantasia last year. It was Sci-Fi London, right? It was a film called The Warm Season and written by Adam Seidel. So yeah, I think if you like that, I think you will enjoy The Silent Planet. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. So people, yeah, if you're in Montreal, go see The Silent Planet. If not, keep track of their socials so you know when it's playing near you. Okay, yeah, my thoughts on The Silent Planet.